Hey, I'm Dr. Paul Looney, and I'd like to talk to you about a medication that's gotten kind of a bad rap in recent years. It's a medication that's very useful, though, and has been in psychiatric care for a long time. There's an article in May of this year in Psychiatric Times by Sehar Raza, MD, and Stacy Dumas, MD, MBA. And it's a fantastic article that really summarizes how lithium came to be such an important um, medication for the treatment of psychiatric illness and also its current use. So I just want to review that article with you. I won't read it verbatim, but the majority of the content is directly from that article. Lithium is a mood stabilizer. It's been widely used in psychiatry, primarily for the treatment of bipolar disorder, but we are seeing its usefulness in other areas as well. It came to note back in the 1800s when mineral springs containing lithium were found to have a positive impact on mental disorders such as depression and mania, even physical disorders like gout. It began to be used in treatment of bipolar disorder for mania in 1871 in New York. 1929, there was actually a lemon lime flavored soda named Bib Label Lithiated Lemon Lime Soda, which was later named 7 Up. It was introduced into the market and it had lithium citrate in it. The inventor was this guy, Charles Leeper Grigg, who claimed that the lithium ingredient in the soda could affect the drinker's mood. However, and it probably did, the lithiated drinks were in huge demand, but the government eventually banned the use of lithium citrate in soft drinks in late 1940s. That same decade, an Australian psychiatrist, John Cade, accidentally discovered lithium's calming properties by injecting it as a solution mixed with urine from his patients with mania into guinea pigs. These were real guinea pigs. He believed that mental illness had a biological and a psychological component, which we now know to be true. Hence, he realized the need for medication treatment along with talk therapy. So he thought that there was some kind of toxin in the body that was excreted in the urine. But what he found was that the lithium solution that he was using to inject the guinea pigs had a calming effect on them. And he found that it reduced mania in people with mood disorders and restlessness in psychotic patients. So it really helped to propel more research in lithium, which led to a bunch of more research in the 1950s. It wasn't until 1970 that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved lithium for the treatment of patients with bipolar disorder. Today, it's still the gold standard for management of bipolar disorder in both acute and chronic cases. It's potent and effective, but because its therapeutic index, when you're treating someone who's actively in a manic state, there's a narrow window that has to be above a certain level in the blood to get the effect. But if you go too high, then it can cause toxicity, which can be very serious. And so it has to be monitored with blood levels. Long term, you can have renal, thyroid, cardiac, parathyroid, even neurological effects. So it's not a medicine without danger, but it even though it does carry some medical risks, it can be monitored, and almost all those side effects can be prevented with good medical management. Many patients have stayed on low dose lithium for decades with proper education and monitoring. I've seen that in my own practice, and it's truly been life-saving. One of the great things about lithium is that it is one of the few medicines that is shown to have a definite diminishment of suicidal thoughts and behavior. It reduces the risk of thoughts and behavior in people with mood disorders. And of course, with bipolar disorder and in borderline personality disorder, there's a big risk of self-harm. People who have a lot of aggressiveness, impulsivity, they can have a diminishment of those uh, symptoms, and their suicidality goes way down. This benefit is even at very low doses of lithium. And so when I'm working with someone who's having suicidal thoughts, sometimes even just like a long-acting lithium of, say, 300 milligrams at bedtime is enough to reduce those suicidal urges. It can be used, lithium can be used as augmentation for people who have refractory depression, people who aren't responding to the regular antidepressants. The lithium can help with that. And for some people, it can prevent depression in a low maintenance dose. As I said, you do need to monitor for side effects. You don't want to make sure, you want to make sure that you're not having toxicity. Some of the symptoms of that can be thirst, hand tremors, increased urination. And of course, I mentioned earlier, thyroid and kidney problems can occur over long-term use. Interestingly, we're finding, though, that in addition to its benefit with suicidal thoughts and with managing bipolar disorder, it also has some neurotrophic and neuroprotective responses. Neurotrophic means that it actually supports the development of the central nervous system, and the protective benefits are more and more obvious. You can even see a larger hippocampal volume in the brains of people who have been on lithium long term, which is very cool. A study in Texas suggested that a higher level of lithium in public water supply offers protective effects in the prevention of death by suicide. Also, a study in Texas using statistics from 27 Texas counties, this is from 78 to 87, showed that the incidences of homicide, rape, and suicide were much lower in areas where lithium levels in drinking water ranged from 70 to 170 micrograms per liter. So this has caused some people to suggest that maybe we need to add lithium to the drinking water across the globe. One of the most fascinating things, though, in this article was the impact that lithium is showing in terms of treating dementia, treating and preventing dementia. An experimental group was treated with 150 to 450 milligrams of lithium, which is a modest dose to achieve target subtherapeutic lithium concentrations. They didn't actually go into the therapeutic range, but somewhere between 0.25 and 0.5 milliequivalents per liter for 2 years, and then followed for an additional 2 years. The patients taking the lithium were found to remain stable, have better performance on memory and attention tests, and increase in their cerebrospinal fluid amyloid B peptide, which is a positive indicator. And this was even after 36 months, whereas the participants in the placebo group had cognitive and functional decline across all these parameters or areas that they tested. In bipolar disorder, lithium is associated with dramatically reduced dementia risk. Now, isn't this cool that I've studied over 29,000 patients, of whom 548 were taking lithium. Lithium reduced the risk of dementia by 44%. Now, that's significant. Now, of course, there are plenty of alternatives to lithium. There are other mood stabilizers, Depakote or lamotrigine. There are many other mood stabilizers. And in my own practice, I will often use something like Lamictal or lamotrigine as the primary mood stabilizer, but add a little bit of lithium at bedtime just to, again, help with the suicidality and to help reduce the risk of mania. The lamotrigine helps more with the low side, the depressive side of bipolar disorder, whereas lithium seems to help more with the mania. But the combination of two different agents sometimes can achieve the kind of stabilization and treatment that will provide long-term prevention of ongoing mood disorders with a limited risk of side effects. It is important to remember that lithium treatment should be closely supervised by a healthcare professional. Although you can get over-the-counter lithium, the amount that you would need to reach therapeutic levels is likely unattainable without going with a pharmaceutical preparation of lithium. But you do want to do it under health supervision of healthcare, and have regular blood level monitoring unless you're just taking a very minimal amount. Patients on lithium therapy need to be educated about the importance of maintaining consistent salt and fluid intake, and monitor for signs of toxicity, especially if you have some of those symptoms that I mentioned earlier. All in all, I think lithium is underutilized in psychiatry. I think with regard to the newer antipsychotic medications, some of the newer mood stabilizers and antidepressants, the potential risks with those agents sometimes I think are much more potentially damaging than what we see with lithium if it's being carefully monitored. I hope this little video has been helpful. Thank you to the authors of this wonderful article in Psychiatric Times, and hope that you will like and share this video if you find it helpful, and subscribe to my channel. This is Dr. Paul Looney. I am a board certified psychiatrist, and just want to get information out there so that you can make good decisions about seeking care for yourself or someone that you love. Bye-bye.